Our first and only review is going to be for the new Dexter season, their Dexter Resurrection. Dexter can't kill him. He's just like Michael Myers, man. He just keeps coming back.
Keeps
Uh,
coming back.
when you think he's done, he's find new way there to always make it out. Very cunning. This Dexter is. Now Dexter had a reboot season with Dexter New Blood. Which I had seen before. We did a review, me and Nick, of that, talking about the new season there. And especially I thought it was all right. I thought it was better than especially what we got ending Dexter there, those of the original run of the show, because it really fell off a cliff like around season 6 or so. That's when it started to really dip in quality. You gonna say
For
something?
me, it went like 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8, like way down here. You can't even see my hand.
Yeah, like it got pretty. That finale was pretty bad. So I did appreciate it kind of coming back to try to rectify all those things and kind of what kind of people who weren't very pleased with that ending. And it seemed like with that ending, it seemed like okay, with Dexter New Blood. If people don't know, we're gonna spoil a little bit with Dexter New Blood. People haven't seen it. He gets shot at the end of it. And
It seems definitive too.
it seems definitive. Like it's like almost like that shot at the end of Breaking Bad where kind of the camera pans and it's like he's laying on the ground, he's shot, and he's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, he's dead there. It's like it seems pretty definitive there that he's gone and dead. But then they announced another season of this show. They're like, he's gonna come back again for Dexter Resurrection there. So it's a sequel series to Dexter New Blood. This time around, like he survived. We see him recuperating from the shot there, trying to piece together all the things that kind of happened before.
They pull a very classic he's in a coma cliche too.
He's in a coma. He gets visited by all the people that that he was responsible for killing. So you get to see some returning guest stars there, like John Lithgow, who was the Trinity Killer, which he was probably my favorite season of the show.
Oh, I think that's easily the best one.
Yeah, easily. I think that's probably the best one. You also see a surprise motherfucker. You see him come back. A lot of people, who his like, I think a lot of part of the reason why his character probably came back because his character has been memed to hell over the last like few years, and a lot of people just love memeing him.
Well, they even have him say the meme again. When he shows up, so like they clearly just did it for that.
Yeah, it's just to bring him back for just that one scene. But you have that, so yeah, he's come back. He's trying to piece together all the things that happened there. And then he decides that where's my son Harrison, who's his son there. We got introduced to a more adult version of him. Now he's kind of more there in his late teens, kind of early 20s there. We see with Harrison. And he's going to New York. He finds that Harrison's all the way in New York there. And while he's in New York, a completely different change of setting than we've normally seen Dexter, who's mostly in Miami. We've mostly seen him in Miami before. And then when he's in New York, he meets a group of serial killers. He meets like the Avengers of serial killers. They've joined together and formed like this little serial killer club. And you see kind of the stars there. And the person that's heading this up is Peter Dinklage, who's this wealthy philanthropist, billionaire, who has a strange fascination with serial killers and interacting with serial killers. So he's gathered all these people together there. And then on his tail is you have Angel Batista, who was part of the original run of the show there. That actor is coming back there. Let me find that actor's name. David Zayas. Yeah, who he's back, who he's like, yeah, I mean, I always thought there was something off and maybe he could be the Bay Harbor Butcher, and I'm going to find proof that he is the Bay Harbor Butcher there. And so he's followed Dexter all the way to New York to do that there. So yeah, it's kind of the setup you have of this new season, basically, of Dexter trying to really reconnect with his son and trying to form that bond. Then also him being in New York and then meeting these other group of serial killers and being disgusted by these other group of serial killers and wanting to take them out. And then much like with Dexter, there's always a big bad. There's always a main kind of person that he has to kind of take on and battle against in the show. Here, it seems like that's Peter Dinklage. That's pretty much Peter Dinklage who he's taking on. What did you think about this new season of Dexter here?
Well, there's one thing before I fully get into my thoughts. I just want to throw this question out there because I was thinking about this and I feel like it's a big hole in the New Blood and Resurrection here. Harrison came up to seek him out because his stepmom passed away, and of course his original mother died back in the series. John
Mm.
Lithgow killed her. Where are in all of the in these two new seasons here? Where are Rita's other two older children
Yeah.
that Dexter was like a stepdad to?
I guess they don't matter. I guess. I
I
guess.
I mean, it feels like they never existed at all.
Yeah, because I forgot. I don't know if because I haven't seen New Blood since it came out since we did the review for it. But doesn't Harrison say that the reason he was able to find him is because of maybe Rita's kids? Like he talked to them, or am I mistaken?
I don't think because I just watched New Blood for the first time. I hadn't seen it until now.
Okay.
I watched both shows kind of back to back, but I don't think he references them at all.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So maybe I'm just I completely made that up then.
That's
uh
just a weird thing that I noticed. I was like, well, why these? I feel like these people should exist or matter somehow. I don't know.
yeah. But so what were your thoughts there?
So it's interesting. So I didn't watch New Blood when it came out, mostly because the final season of the series had been so disappointing. I was like, I don't even think I care. But then you asked me to come on to do this, and I was like, all right, well let me go catch up, and I can watch both of them here. Um, Now I thought the New Blood, I thought that was actually pretty great. I thought that was one of the best seasons the series has had. And this season, I think, especially going into it, I felt like, oh, this feels like you guys got a chance to say goodbye and you did it well, and now you're just kind of forcing it to keep going. I think the way the season starts with him like waking up from a coma, I thought was pretty weak. That this felt like a very weak explanation for him surviving that, because the way that last season ends did feel very definitive and like I thought thematically sound. And I was like, all right, great. Well, you guys had a second chance to wrap it up. We're saying the hell we did. We're keeping this going as long as we can. Those first, I'd say, two episodes of this season really, I think, have that feeling to me where it just feels like artificially extended. But about episode 3 is where I started not to feel that as much. And I thought it started to kind of find a groove and do something a little different and interesting. And that's about where he picks up on the Dark Passenger killer, which is kind of his lead in. He kills this other killer, and that person's got an invite to the serial killer club. And from there, as we get into exploring that, I thought that was a really interesting idea. And I do think a lot of it's done pretty well. However, one criticism I have of that kind of bigger plot here is I do think that because there's so many of these great actors, I feel like a lot of them don't actually get all that much time. And like we don't actually get to know them as serial killers or as interesting characters. I think the one that we get to know the best is Kristen Ritter. I feel like we get kind of a whole episode, which I actually think is the strongest episode in this season. I believe as episode 5. And I really like that one. And one of the reasons I thought that was really good is because I think the show has always been at its best when there is a little bit of a push and pull with, is Dexter really like a, does he really have the tendencies of a good person anywhere in there? Like how much of it is just an excuse? Like how much of it is genuine, is emotional connections to people? Like how much of that is very real? And I think the time he's spending with Kristen Ritter is the most of this season poses that question. Like how much could he just give over to this, and how much can he kind of stop himself from giving into all the urges? And that's one thing where I think the larger portion of the season kind of falls flat on, is I feel like there's a little too much of Dexter just totally making the right choice and being like, yep, he's the good guy, he's doing the right thing. Yeah, he's totally like a superhero, basically. I feel like there's a lot of that, especially in the end of this season. There's a lot of just like, oh yeah, we're not even really questioning the morals of him anymore. We're just fully into him being a good guy. And I think one of the strongest things about New Blood was that they danced with that idea a lot. And it was, I think that, especially with how that ended, they were getting very into that question of like, all right, well, like, as soon as he explains this to his son, who turns out to be a pretty normal person that does not have the same sort of urge to kill that he does, then I mean, he ends up shooting him, right? Like the way that conflict plays out felt very natural to me. But in this season, it feels a little bit like a, well, wouldn't it be cool if they just had a good relationship anyways? And I'm like, well, I don't know if that's cool. I feel like it's less interesting, but I don't know. I think there are still some great performances in here. I really like Peter Dinklage, Christian Ritter, David Dastmalchian, Neil Patrick Harris. I think they're all. I think it's a really novel idea, but outside of Christian Ritter's character, and then I think Peter Dinklage gets a good amount of material to chew on. I think he's really great, and I think especially kind of last like 2 episodes or so, they really start to give him more to do. But I feel like between David Dastmalchian and Neil Patrick Harris, I think some of the serial killer club thing just feels like they go through it a little too fast. Like it's just very like, all right, let's kill one, let's kill the second one. But 3 episodes go by and it's like, all right, we basically just have Peter Dinklage left and that's it. I wish they spent more time exploring and developing each of those individual characters. And maybe that's because there's so much subplot dedicated to the son and kind of what he's doing off on his own, which has got a whole host of other problems. But I guess I just feel like maybe there was too much crammed into too few episodes in that sense.
Mm. And this is a 10-episode season, so good. 10 episodes
It's a
usually
good
you can
number.
good number. You can get through a lot of stuff there in 10 episodes. It doesn't feel sometimes cramped with the 8 episodes. Sometimes a lot of streaming platforms do now. I don't
Yeah.
know
And they're
why.
long episodes too.
Yeah, and they're full hour long episodes. Yeah, they are a full hour long. Um, so yeah, you have these notable guest stars that are part of like the serial killer club. You mentioned them before, like Neil Patrick Harris, Kristen Ritter. You have also that actor from Modern Family who's in here.
Oh
It's
yes. I don't
Eric
know his
Stone,
name. Eric Stoltz.
Eric Stone Street. Yeah,
Stone
uh,
Street. Okay.
yeah. Eric Schultz is that other actor, right? From
Yep. Yep. No, I was thinking of the wrong person.
Yeah. But yeah, you got him and the David Dale Smulch in there. Also there's Uma Thurman in this, who's like the PI private bodyguard for the Peter
Mhm.
Dinklage's character. It's been a minute since I've seen Uma Thurman, really, so it's good to see Uma Thurman. Well, actually, I just saw her in that shitty Old Guard 2, that movie, that
Oh,
Netflix movie.
we'll
But
pretend that didn't happen.
yeah, and she's good here. I like her here. I do see your point about, you know, you don't really get a whole lot with these people. And then they and he's picking off these people fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And it almost begs the question. I mean, it's like Uma Thurman's the only one who really suspects him. Like that, it's like something's off here when it's like, isn't it kind of a big coincidence that this guy just came here and all of a sudden these people are missing and disappearing? Like, does nobody else catch
Yeah.
on to that? Like, what's going on here?
So that was the thing I kept wondering throughout the season because I feel like Peter Dinklage's character. I think the performance he turns in is really great, but it not suspecting Dexter for so long, and I thought honestly what I was expecting was there was going to be a twist and he was going to be like, oh, I knew you were the Bay Harbor butcher this entire time. I just was excited to meet you anyway, so I kind of played along with your fake out or whatever. I thought there was going to be something like that where he's been kind of aware the whole time what's going on, but he just let it play out anyway. But then there comes a moment where somebody then he has to be kind of relayed information to, and he's totally surprised, and I'm like, really? You had nothing, no suspicion. It makes his character seem like kind of a total idiot.
Yeah, and I guess I mean the explanation he kind of gives is that I mean these serial killers, I mean they're dodgy people anyways. They could have
Sure.
just they just ghosted it or whatever, sure. But it's just like I don't know. They seem to really enjoy hanging out with each other
Yeah.
and doing these little freaky ass meetups and stuff. So it's like I don't know. It just seems like the fact you wouldn't be suspicious whatsoever seems
Well,
a
it's
little
like what, 3 or 4 of them within like a week.
yeah.
Like it's not like it's like a couple weeks later he picks another one. We're like talking like day, then the next day, and the day after that. Like
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was kind of a little off there, but I mean, I did. enjoy him picking up them off. Like that was kind of fun there, and
And the
how he
interactions we did get, I think, were good. I just wish we had more of them.
yeah. I mean, Neil Patrick Harris is a little bit like it just seems like he's playing Barney, but just as a serial killer. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, it just seems like he's kinda doing that. Um, and then, what's always kinda sometimes good about Dexter is they got some good supporting characters that come in and, like, good ensemble there. And you get some other kinda side supporting characters, like, when he first arrives to New York, he takes a Uber, then he strikes up a conversation with this guy,
Mm.
and then it's such a good conversation, and also he's driving him all the way to go get his car, that he's like, "Hey, why don't you come to this party I'm having?" You know what I mean? You know, I'm having a party with my friend. And he's like, "Okay, sure." And then he ends up staying with the dude. He ends up living like in a place like the below him in the basement or something.
Yeah, it's like they have an extra room set up as an apartment.
Yeah. I did like a lot of that. I thought that was kind of a good interaction and the stuff with his family. I thought that was kind of pretty good.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
with you. I really liked those characters, and I thought they were all they the the humanity element of a Dexter story, I think, came through really strong with them. The only thing where it's just like a tiny bit of a negative is that what I was saying earlier about where I feel like this season doesn't question whether Dexter is or is not a good person or can be. I feel like we're just all in on Dexter being a great guy. There, he does do a lot of stuff. Like I'm going to my landlord's mom's funeral and like giving a speech, and there's a lot of things where he's just so like gung ho about doing the right thing all the time, and that does play into that just a little bit.
mm. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think of an instance he did that in like the original series or something. He would do that because I think it's maybe doing it to like, yeah, it's like when he would like bring donuts for everybody or something like that. It's like it's like oh, just to maintain the image of being a nice guy and all that stuff.
Oh, totally. That's totally there. I just felt like he wasn't maintaining an image. I felt like that was just really him in this season. Like
Mm.
that was more genuinely just really who he was in a way that I don't know if I felt like that was the case in previous seasons.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Well, that guy was really nice. I mean, maybe he finally cold just turned his heart around.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a really good guy. Um, so you had that element there. These other supporting characters that come in, I don't think I really liked them quite a bit. It was the New York detectives there. I did not really like that whole interplay. So you have these detectives who they're investigating a serial killer because, especially Kristen Ritter's character, because I think she's the only serial killer that operates in well, her and the Uber killer
Right.
but she's the main one. I think that's like the white whale, the big whale that they're looking for because she's like the Lady Vengeance character, whatever that's her
Yeah.
serial killer name. Um, so she's the only one that really mainly operates there, and these two detectives, and there's one of them. I forgot her character's name. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Her name
Uh,
might as well be the Bee Gees.
yeah, because she's obsessed with the song "Staying Alive." There,
I
so
that was weird. I that was an I mean it's an maybe an interesting character quirk, but I I don't know. It felt like it was kind of turning into a little bit of a cartoon at times with that.
uh
Like they kept going back to that song.
Katia Sarif, there she plays Detective Claudette Wallace there. So with her character, it just seems like it's just very much like you're doing like a parody of all like autistic on the spectrum type detectives we see in media, like Sherlock or something like that, and it just is so kind of on the nose there. And then to talk about the BG thing, so like when she's like doing her thing and like investigating crime scenes, she's like puts on headphones and like it's not a different song, it's not another BG song, it's always the same song every single time. It's like
Yeah.
the same song. Um, and the needle drops in this show were also kind of weird. It was like
Yeah, that's another big thing. Weird and constantly, like all the time. Like I feel like sometimes it was like 5 minutes would go by and it's like, oh, here's another one. And I feel like they very rarely were like timed well to like the story or the plot or what was going on in the narrative. It kind of just felt like they were like, well, what's popular on the radio right now? Just throw it in there just for the sake of having more music.
yeah. In the first episode, when he first arrives to New York, they do the Ramones,
That
which I
one
guess
makes sense.
yeah, I guess that makes because the Ramones were created in New York, they formed in New York, so that makes sense. But yeah, there was a lot of like crazy just needle drops. It just felt like it's like that's not typical of usually Dexter to do that.
It
Um,
felt very out of place.
Yeah, but what you think of the detectives and their
Oh, I thought that stuff was super weak. That whole subplot, both her and her partner, to me, it felt like they just were like, well, there has to be a cop subplot in Dexter because there typically has been in the past. And I think, even though I think there are a good number of positives here I've mentioned too, I do think part of the season does also have that, like, let's artificially keep making Dexter, and so we're coming up with reasons for the show to keep going. And in a lot of ways, it kind of feels like, well, we want to just get back to the formula of what a Dexter season is like. And the part of why I think New Blood was as good as it was is it wasn't really the formula of Dexter as much. It broke from a lot of like the trends of how those stories would play out. But I feel like a lot of this season is about, well, let's chase the formula again. Like, let's find a way to get back into it. And that just seems like a weird choice. And the cop stuff is a big part of why that, to me, that just doesn't seem like an interesting direction to go in. Or, I mean, really, I think they could have just left it alone and ended it at the end of the last one. But it just feels like cop stuff to have cop stuff. And these characters feel pretty one note. Like I said, kind of a cartoon parody almost of certain tropes. Even down to the like last episode, like they're like leaving a party, and she's like, "All right, I need to go to bed. Good night." And then the song at the party all of a sudden is staying alive, and she's like, "Well, now I can't leave." And I don't know. It's weird. It's just I thought that part of it was very weird.
Mm. Yeah, I didn't like that, and then you have to have, I guess, give the other element of, like, somebody's on his tail because you have Batista who interacts with them and is telling them about Dexter,
Right.
plus they're mainly on the tail of his son because his son committed a murder. By the way, we're gonna spoil Dexter Resurrect because this show's out already, but his son, he works at a hotel, he's actually living at the hotel, and so he kills somebody there because 'cause they're about to date rape somebody, um and then they are investigating the murder and they're on his tail. So it's a way to kind of intersect with Dexter in a way. Um, did you like the stuff what was happening with Harrison or
I mean, I thought some of it was interesting. I think the actor is good. I do like the like relationship dynamic between them in certain ways. I tend to like it more when it is not going well than when it is going well. But like I said, a lot of the season does end up feeling a little bit like a, hey, whether it makes sense or not, we think they should have a good relationship because it would be cool if that's the direction they went in, rather than whether that actually makes sense for that to happen or not. Like, because from where they ended the last season to where they go in this season, it just feels like, I don't know. It's like you had this very, I feel like, very declarative moment of the plot in New Blood that he's rejecting this, and he like, I am not like my father, and I do not have this is like deep and dark and ugly in me as he does. And then in this season, they're like, well, they could get along anyway.
Mm. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, okay, does he have the same issues that Dexter does? I mean, they examined that last season too with New Blood. They kind of
And
examined
I
that.
think it was more interesting there. And I feel like in this season, it's more like, yeah, no, no, he's just completely fine. He doesn't, he really doesn't. Oh, he killed that guy, but, it really made him sick to do it afterwards. And he felt really bad. So, clearly it's not the same.
Yeah.
But then also, he accepts Dexter and everything Dexter's done with kind of feels like with open arms, where he's just like, yeah, you know what, whatever, we're cool now.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, it seems like a lot of also he's like feels really guilty about like thinking he almost killed his dad, and it's like Dexter's trying to help him get over that guilt a little bit. Like that's
Yeah.
okay. I wanted you to do it, and that's all right. And
I
so it's like,
wanted to stop making the show, but they won't let me stop.
I mean, I think Michael C. Hall is a good actor. I
Oh,
mean, I don't know why.
he's fantastic. And honestly, another thing I noticed was I feel like he does not look like he's aged all that much throughout this
Yeah,
like series. He still looks kind of like he did when it started.
yeah, he's 54. Okay, he's 54. Okay.
He's aged very well, although his haircut could be better, I will say.
But yeah, I'm surprised he's not in more movies or shows or anything
He's
like
a great
that.
actor. I mean, he also was. I mean, he was a huge part of the cast of 6 Feet Under, which was, that was his big show before Dexter.
Yeah, I did see that show. Great, one of the best finales ever with
Mhm.
6 Feet Under. Um, so yeah, so that I wasn't say I wasn't too interested in the Harrison storyline all that much, and you know him almost getting caught, and then there's also like a little thing of him about going to college and what is he going to do in college. I was like, okay, um, and it like you said, they're trying to seems like they're trying to go back to the normal fare for Dexter. It's like, okay, he's a guy that chases serial killers and then also let's do a thing where he's trying to reconnect with his son because we couldn't have a whole season of just him begging to get his son back. So we got to have something, dispersed in between those things. And then of course he seems like he's making the same mistakes that he did previously, where even Harrison brings it up. It was like you're getting close to these group of killers, and then what happens when they get close to you and find out about you and all your personal life, and then they hurt, his wife Rita. That's what happened there. So I was like, it seems like you're making the same mistakes before. What'd you think about that?
I think you're right. I think this he's totally just kind of making the same mistake as before. He's just got this confidence that oh, it won't happen this time, and then of course it does. Of course, I mean, end result wise, his son makes it out okay, right? But it definitely has the same feeling of like, yeah, you're kind of just repeating yourself a bit, and again, I mean, some of these interactions are good, and I like some of these scenes. And even certain episodes, is like individual episodes, like is either 4 and 5 or 5 and 6. I thought were like the best two, right where it's like really heavily on Christian Renner. But it does feel like they're trying to do some greatest hits replay at
Mm,
times.
yeah, and it does set up another season. Like they do that, because we see like
At least
the
it's not a lie this time when it seems like it's over and it's not. This time it's like clearly, oh yeah, no, we're not going to stop.
at least they're gonna do a couple more seasons with this, and because Peter Dinklage has like a whole museum like in his house there of all the serial killer artifacts of
Yeah.
famous killers and everything like that. Um, and then so he even has like, and then because he's been searching for all these people to join his club, he has like all these files on all these different people. So he took a bunch of the files there. So, he's gonna go and hunt down these people. And
Oh,
then
you know what they could do? Now they can rip off like Supernatural or X Files and travel around the country finding serial killers.
oh, that's probably what he's gonna do next. He's gonna and he stole Peter Dinklage's yacht. So he stole that big,
True.
beautiful, expensive yacht that he's got. So he probably can go all around and then travel around and then find these people. And then
It's
the
gonna
only
be
person
the new subtitle for the next season is gonna be Road Chip.
road chip, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So it seems like that seems like that's where it's gonna go. And the only person to actually make it out of the club was Eric Stone Street. Like he was the only
Yep.
person, he was the only killer to make it out. So it seems like we're gonna be
First 5 minutes of the next season is gonna be him killing that guy.
probably, yeah.
It is not even gonna be like a long plot thread. He's just gonna do it like immediately.
Yeah, and that was also like just in terms of why didn't any of these serial killers catch on? Because like you think a serial killer would be very paranoid and suspicious.
And Uma Thurman does kind of like, hey, something's up. She's kind of like suspicious right away, but it seems like no one's listening to her, which is
yeah,
almost even dumber because you have somebody pointing out how suspicious it is, and you're still like, it's fine.
yeah, whose whole job he's like, well, this isn't what I pay you for, but it's like this is what you pay her for.
It's
You
literally
pay
what you
to
pay her
look
for.
for threats. You know what I mean? Like that is what you pay her for. But yeah, like like he's because he's the last person that he has to get before he gets to Peter Dinklage, and then he's constantly like, "Hey man, let's hang out. Let's go somewhere, man. I want to see you before you go off." At a certain point, wouldn't that kind of raise your suspicions? Like, why does this dude
You'd
want to
think
hang
so.
want to hang out with me so bad? But he's like, okay, yeah, sure, but yeah, he's the last one. But so clearly they set up another season of the show that they're gonna do. I think this was pretty popular. It seems like this latest season, so it seems like they are gonna continue it. Um, so, what were kind of the best positives for you with this? We mentioned that.
Best positives are performances. I think Kristen Ritter and Peter Dinklage are both really really great. I wish they had more time spent on their characters, but I do think they're really good for the parts that are there. And I think, like I said earlier, I think maybe the most interesting part of the whole season to me is the episode with Kristen Ritter where they're kind of going on a bit of a date and he really spends a lot of time with her, and because that episode to me is showcasing an actual struggle that he's having of, well, maybe I do relate to her more than I relate to my son, and maybe this would be actually a better personal relationship to explore because it would connect to this part of his world. And I think him there being that little bit of struggle of, well, there's actually like a struggle in his mind of like where his priorities should be, and I think that's the best that character ever is when that struggle is there. So yeah, kind of right in the middle of the season is when I think it was at its easily at its best.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the interactions he had with the club. I thought that was good. Peter Dinklage, I think a lot of the other kind of guest stars in the show are really good in this. Like I said, I didn't like the real detective kind of plot there with those characters. I felt a little goofy. Batista, I did like coming back. I think like if you wanted a detective subplot, things like I think it felt like really should have just mainly just been him.
It
For
totally should have just been him,
you
especially
know,
because he's sharing a bunch of scenes with these other characters that just are not really interesting or working. But it makes it feel like two subplots intersecting instead of just one subplot about him.
yeah. So I was like, you just really, if you just wanted to do that, you could have just done the Batista thing. And then Harrison stuff, I wasn't really too into. I don't know. You think that they're gonna do like in the next season, like, okay, he's gonna just hunt down all the killers, and then he's gonna like just call his son every once in a while. I was like, hey, how's college going? And then that's it. Like, we're or you think
I
that
I bet they'll cut away and have like a whole subplot going on. I mean, who knows if they even keep him in school that whole time. I mean, obviously going from the last season to this season, they made it pretty evident that they're not afraid of completely reversing a storytelling decision. So I could see 50-50 whether they keep that as a thing or he might just be riding shotgun around the country with them.
okay, father and son duo. Okay,
Yeah.
uh,
Which would
yeah.
again really negate, I think, some of like what they're doing in the last one, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, if he's gonna be killing date rapists, I mean, he's gonna have a lot of victims in college then. If that's the case, he's gonna
That's
stack
true.
up a lot of bodies pretty quick. Uh, so what would be your final thoughts rating for this season?
Yeah, like I mean, I think I ended up enjoying it more than I was expecting to. Honestly, I had very low expectations. I thought, like looking at the trailers and stuff, I was like, this looks honestly, frankly, terrible. Uh, so the fact that there was stuff to enjoy here and actually really like that was a pleasant surprise. But by the end, I don't think it escapes from the shadow of just feeling like they're again, I think the best way to say it is artificially extending the life of this series just way past what it should be. And I think that's too bad because New Blood came around and it seemed like that was like, oh, here's like a real ending to the series. Like we got a second chance, and I think that would have been a really good place to leave it off and not come back. And that's not to say you can't keep going and do something interesting, but I don't know if it totally justifies its own existence. I'd give it a stream it. Like I can enjoy more some of the time watching it for sure. But would I tell anybody, oh, you gotta like if somebody I know stopped watching the series before the last season or maybe after the last season, I would tell them, oh, you should really go watch New Blood. You should really go. It's like it was almost like an apology. You should go catch up on it. I wouldn't necessarily tell people to go out of their way to watch this one, like I
Hmm.
would with New Blood.
So people should stop with New Blood, just like, oh, Dexter's dead, so I don't have to watch Resurrection.
I mean, honestly, I do think it kind of was the perfect ending.
Mm, okay. Yeah. I mean, I got to go back to see maybe how I feel about New Blood. I will say Clancy Brown is the killer in New Blood was really good. I did like him
He
as
was great. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he was really really good there. Um, but I do like Resurrections. I know maybe I talked a little bit more negatively than possibly about it. But I did like this season, and I guess I would say another season of this just to see there. But Like I said, maybe it's gonna be like a road trip thing. He's gonna go around the city to city.
I'm telling
Um,
you, Dexter Road Chip. That's the subtitle for the next season.
doing with that. I don't know if some of these characters will come back, like the New York detectives. I don't know if they'll come back
I
and they'll
hope
like,
not.
they'll piece it together like, oh wait, this dude, he really did do all this or whatever, like they'll try to do that. Um, but I'd give it like a low, kind of like a tune in. I give it like a tune in instead of a low tune in. I give it like a middle of the road kind of tune in there. With that. So yeah, I mean, clearly they set up a sequel. See what they'll do again with it. Um, I did like. Did you? I know you talked about it before, but you have his dad who's back again as his conscience as Jiminy Cricket. There, you miss Deborah as being that.
That was actually one last thing I did want to bring up. I thought that did not work really very well at all in this season. I think the evolution of it going from his dad to his sister in New Blood, I think is really good, and the scenes that of her in that season, I think are very strong, very effective, and it feels like you can tell this very particular part of his mind is kind of coming out, and him having a struggle with how he's feeling about things. And then in this season, I feel like the dad it felt less like that, like it did in the old show, and more like it was just an exposition machine. So he had someone to relay information back and forth and explain things to the audience. It, I don't know. It didn't feel. I didn't think that worked. I did not think that worked.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of missed. It was a change of pace. It was something different, just having Deborah there. And I guess I don't know. You couldn't, I guess, have her back because I mean, mainly in New Blood, she was telling him she was like trying to push down the urge to go and kill people.
Yeah.
And then this one, it seems like all that's kind of gone now. He's like, well, I'm back to killing people now, so I'm happy as a
He's back
bee.
to it, and it feels like the show makes it more obviously like yeah, he's totally justified. When there was a gray area in there before, he's just kind of like he's totally justified in doing what he's doing.
Yeah. Are you gonna watch? I know this got canceled. You gonna watch Original Sin?
I wasn't planning on it, but I mean, if you want to review it, I'll watch it.
No, I wasn't
Okay.
gonna. I wasn't gonna watch that. I was just wondering if you were curious, maybe since you already had Paramount Plus. I was like, oh, okay.
It doesn't. To me, this Original Sin series just doesn't seem very interesting, especially like if you consider the fact that the show is now trying to kind of go back to the formula. Why would you have a prequel that also is just engaging in the same formula? Because then it's just the same show with two different skins on it.
Yeah. Yeah, this got canceled. I guess. I mean, I don't know if it was good or bad or not. I don't know if people are like, well,
It's weird that every actor from the original show has a younger actor playing them. Like it's weird. It's like it's everybody. It looks like a high school reunion like book of people's like photos. Like that's kind of weird that they went with like everybody getting this. I don't know.
yeah. Is that guy supposed to be Dokes? The black guy right there? Is that supposed to be Dokes uh,
Uh,
or I don't know if he's actually a younger version of him supposed to be in. So you got his dad who's in this.
who is
Uh,
older than James Remar was in the first season of the original series when that was. So that's also weird because
really? Oh, Christian Slater is older in it.
I
I
think
mean,
today compared to James Remar's age when the first season of Dexter came out in like 2006 or something like that.
wow.
I think so.
Then you got a younger version of his sister there. I don't know if she's probably not already a cop, right? She's probably, I don't know.
I would think not, but that actress also I feel like doesn't even really look like I forget the actress's name that played Deb, but she doesn't
Yeah.
even look like her.
Then you got a young Batista and young LaGreta. Now this really looks like it's almost like a parody, almost like with the like it almost looks like kind of like a porn parody. I don't know.
It looks porn parodies is good too, but I also was thinking like it looks almost like an SNL skit of Dexter,
Yeah.
but porn parody might be more accurate.
Yeah. And you can see like he's trying to make like the same kind of facial expressions as David.
You know what? At
Zaslav.
least this actor does look like him
Yeah. What do
compared
you
to
think
the
about?
rest of the cast.
You think she looks like a young LaGreta?
I feel like she's got a totally different skin tone.
Yeah. So you got that. And then you got the forensic guy.
There's no
Uh,
way that's supposed to be Dokes.
yeah, that's somebody
Oh no,
else.
that's somebody else. Okay, I was gonna say
Yeah,
because if that was supposed to be him, they didn't even try.
yeah. So it's got him there. And then Sarah Michelle Gellar. So yeah, she's doing
I mean,
some.
I do like her. I mean that would be the one thing that would get me to want to maybe watch it. But I mean, I don't know.
And you have older Michael C. Hall who's doing the inner voice of young Dexter. So you got that here as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a show you can make, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I see why it got canceled after one season though. It just seems like a very pointless thing to do. And it for a little while there too, it seemed like they were doing like this whole Dexter cinematic universe because they also canceled. They were going to do a spin-off about a younger version of the Trinity Killer that was going to be its own entire show, and they canceled that. They're not doing it anymore.
Oh wow, they canceled that. Okay. I mean, I don't know. What would that? I mean, you just be. I mean, that guy has no conscience and just a pure serial killer. So I don't know. Why would that
and
be fun to?
and then I don't know if they're doing this or not, but I'm pretty sure I saw something about how they were going to do just a show about Harrison that was going to be its own standalone show.
Okay. Yeah. Uh.
So, which is especially pointless if he's just continues to be in seasons of Dexter. Then I really don't know why. Are they going to do like the father's got a show, the son's got a show, and then they have a crossover occasionally?
It's like CW. It's like superhero shows. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what it's starting to sound like. But like I said, they're canceling some of these though, so maybe they don't go all the way there with the Dexter cinematic universe.
Okay. Yeah. They pumped the brakes. They're like, okay, we went a little crazy. Sorry, people. We with the Dexter, yeah, DCU, Dexter Cinematic Universe. Yeah, we went a little crazy.
And I mean, I like this character, and I've liked a lot of at least the what I would consider to be the good seasons of it as a series. But like, just who wants that much Dexter?
Yeah. Like,
There
who's gonna
can't
watch it?
be there can't be like a super fan of Dexter that was like, damn it, I really was looking forward to this Trinity Killer show they canceled.
Yeah. I guess there's always some people out there. Yeah. So there's
I
always some
guess
people.
whoever
Uh,
was a big fan of season 6 and 8, whoever like thought those were really good. They were excited about that.
yeah. Now that Batista's dead, it's only I guess just the other guy he was with, the forensic who's alive from the original season, right?
Yeah, well, him that was the other forensics guy, and then
No names. I'm so glad popping in time to hear Dexter Cinematic Universe there.
and then there's the other cop too. I forget his name,
Quinn.
but Quinn. Yeah, he's also there from the original
Yeah.
series. But I mean, they
Yeah.
got like cameos, I guess, in this season. But like they didn't. I mean, they did not feel like they mattered. But maybe
Yeah.
they'll get spinoffs.
Yeah, because Quinn didn't come in. I forgot what season he came in.
I think he came in season 3 because Dokes dies in 2, and then
Oh,
I think
okay.
he was kind of like the new cop on the after that.
Yeah. So yeah, there's just those two left that are alive. From the original season, yeah, because everybody else is dead there. So I don't know. Maybe they'll find a reason to be dead too. Because you think maybe they'll bring a storyline where Quinn, like, he gets broken up about Batista's death, and he's like, "Oh, I got to find out what happened to him," and then he
And then they do the same plot line with him that they did with Batista.
yeah, tries to track down like, "Hey, what happened here?" It was this Dexter guy, and it's like, "Oh shit, of course."
Well, if
Yeah,
they do the road trip idea, then they can have him chase him across the country, and you could really kind of why not? Why not? I feel like that's what they're gonna do now.
yeah. So, yeah, that was our thoughts there. Dexter Resurrection. You gave it a stream it. I gave it a tune in there.